Good morning, everybody. Paul here from Wardens Farm. I'm here in the bee shed getting ready to get out and check the bees. It's 19 January. It's a stunning 64 degrees here in January. It's eastern North Carolina, so the bees are out and flying. They're really active today. One of the things that I'm doing here today is I'm leveling out the hives and I'm putting down some tar paper underneath them, then setting the blocks back on top of them while I'm checking the beehives, and then that way hopefully can stop some of the beetles and everything else that are coming and going to get into the hives, and it'll make it a little harder for them, and it's just going to hopefully help the hives in the long run. So let's go get into the hives. One of the things while we're out here walking down into the hives that you may hear while these recordings are going is you'll hear my neighbor's roosters. He's got 4 of them. And in the background you may hear some machine gun fire. That's because we're here next to Marine Corps Base Camp Lejeune, and they have ranges, probably about 4 or 5 miles away from here, but you can still hear them. But let's get back into some hives here, and hopefully we can get out here and you can see some of the things that are pretty cool. The hive number 3 here, it has a quilt box, a candy board, and 2 deep frames. One of the deep frames is number 10, so I'm going to switch that box out back to a number 3. I got the level here for when I get down to the bottom of the hive so I can re-level it. We're going to crack the outer cover off of the quilt box. And the quilt box won't have anything in it because there's screens to keep the bees out. And then we can get down into the sugar board, and they're doing pretty good work on it. Let's see. This way you can see how much of the candy board that they've consumed. You can see the bees in here working on it. So they still got plenty of that left, thank goodness. Now that the bees are on the candy board, we're going to take it off gently. Set it where the bees won't get crushed. And we can look down inside the frames here. And there's quite a few bees in the upper box. You can also hear some aircraft. That's because there's another base closer to us, which is New River Air Station, another Marine Corps base. And the bees got a little bit of honey left on this frame. As you can see, they've consumed quite a bit of it. That's what happens in the winter months. It's another honey frame where the bees are at here. Ooh, there's a lot of nectar and sugar water in this one. Huh. A lot of dark looking honey too from last year. You can see that honey. You can see the bees working on it. And the next frame is another sugar frame or honey frame, depending upon what we see. And there's more dark colored honey. You can see they're building comb on the bottom, connecting it to the bottom boards. Shows that they're getting a little bit more active. It's all just nectar. You can see where they're building new comb right here where it was gone. So they are building the cells back up. And this is the last frame that has a lot of bees working on it. There's a lot of pollen in there. You can see probably from my pollen feeders. It's a nice yellow color. I don't see any of the red hen bit on this frame. So I'm going to push this one back together. make the girls happy. Now we're getting down into the bottom board, or the bottom box, the deep. And you can see all the bees. I see some bees down in there with wax, or not wax, but yellow pollen that they're probably getting from some of the dandelions that are blooming. We're just going to move out some of these frames closest to the feeder, which won't have anything on them yet. I just want to get over to where the possible brood might be. This one's got some sugar water in it, as you can see. Haven't seen any hive beetles, more sugar water. Lots of yellow pollen in here. Looking for eggs, I don't see any. All I see is a lot of yellow pollen. Maybe you can see some of it in there. But that's a nice thing to see. Starting to run into some brood. There is lots of larvae in the empty cells. Let's see, let's go this way. You may be able to see some of it. You can see the brood. That's capped. And in the empty cells, just about all of them have larvae and eggs, with pollen all the way around on the outside, which is just what you want to see. This is a perfect frame as far as I'm concerned. The brood surrounded by pollen, the queens laying eggs, lots of larvae, lots of nurse bees. Yep, another frame of brood. Looking for my queen. Again, the brood is surrounded by pollen. There are a lot of eggs in here. Just want to make sure the queen's not on this frame before I show it to you, because I don't want her to drop. You can see there are a lot of nurse bees. A lot of brood. The empty cells all have brood, and you can see the yellow pollen all around the brood, which is really good to see. Woo, there's a lot of eggs and larvae. Bunch of new bees too. Well, look at that. What do we got going in there? You can see that they're trying to build a queen cell right there. So I'm gonna get rid of that. And that's why you do your inspections, because it's way too early for them to be thinking about any of that kind of stuff. It did have an egg in it, so let's put our hive back together. We'll make some notes that this is the second time I've been in here and had to get rid of a queen cell. You can see down here where the blocks have sunk into the ground. So that's why I'm re-leveling the hives and putting some paper down. Perfect time to be doing some hive maintenance, since put down a little piece of tar paper, set the blocks on. Big ugly spider. Don't want it eating my bees. Put the level on it real quick, check it. That's perfect going this way. That way it'll drain. All right, this side's gotta come up a little. Okay, so I've leveled the hive. And now I'm starting to put it all back together. You can see on the bottom blocks how deep they sunk down into the ground. And that's why I'm re-leveling the hives. It's been probably 3 years at least since I've done this. I was leveling them out by adding wooden blocks. So this should prevent me from having to do that for a while. So since I got this open, I'm now going to give the girls some 1-to-1 sugar water. This way they can start building out wax, getting ready for spring. I went and I got my other number 3 box, deep. We're going to start matching the hives up with what they have. And I'm going to put the frames back in here just the way they sit in this number 10 box. Well, I wasn't going to put the quilt box back on, but just in case they build up moisture for the amount of bees that they have, I'd rather be safe than sorry. Have them freeze and or sweat, get water, because we got temperatures back in the 30s coming in 2 days. Tonight's not going to be bad. Tomorrow night goes right back down to 35.